let's talk about Indie World real quick. So Indie World was this past week. It was on the 19th, as the YouTube title suggests there. Spoon and I aren't necessarily like super hardcore into the indies, but
Indie scene, yeah.
I think there was a couple in here that I had a heads up on. So, Played Up is a pretty popular multiplayer kind of game. I know a lot of people who play this co-op, so
Yeah.
I recognize that this is a popular game. So, like, getting stuff for Played Up is exciting. Like I said, I know a lot of people who like this game.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this one particularly, but I've seen others that were basically just like this game.
Yeah,
So
and the concept of the game is really, I think, straightforward. It's just you're managing a restaurant and you have to serve people in a timely manner and you serve them the right stuff. It's very basic. So this is
but
like a pretty big
there's a
co-op.
lot of multitasking because
Yes.
you have to cook the food, you have to serve it, like I think it probably gets more and more complex the more you play. Like looked like there was that like level with a ton of conveyors. I think you have to, in some versions I've seen, like you have to like you have a certain amount of dishes, you have to wash the dishes too and then like bring them back. So
Yeah. My
it's
sense
kind of like
is
a multitasking type game, and prioritizing what needs to be done
right.
and stuff like that gets pretty chaotic. I've seen this like, or not this, but a similar game played co-op before. It gets very hectic and
Yeah.
very chaotic very quickly.
Yeah. It's a game that I like. People I know they like it. It's a fun game. So that's one that I wanted to highlight. Not I mean I'm skipping over some stuff. Rift of the Necrodancer.
Yep.
Um, Obviously there's Crypt of the Necrodancer. That's a popular indie. I think it's a fairly
Yeah.
decently sized indie
Yeah.
game regarding
And
its
then there was
player base.
The Hyrule one as well, the
Yep,
Zelda Necrodancer
so
game.
there was the Zelda one. I like the style of this one. This is a very cool
Yeah,
style to it.
it looks good.
It's got a really good style. So this one looks pretty fun. What else? A Shovel Knight DLC. Cult of the Lamb is like a really was at some point there was like a point where Cult of the Lamb was like a pretty big Twitch game to play.
Yeah. It was
So
I think when it came out, it was
yeah,
quite
it
popular.
was quite popular. It's still obviously getting updates because I think the game still has some popularity, but that's a big one to see getting updates. What else are we getting that I recognized here? I couldn't. There wasn't really anything else that I could say like caught my attention from just seeing the timestamps and the names here. To be honest with you, Spoon, is there anything else in here? We talked before podcast that this was probably going to be a quick one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge indie player. I know a lot of people are, but personally, I'm not interested in
Yeah,
Blasphemous. I haven't played that, but I think like that looks, cool action platformer game. That's Blasphemous 2.
yep,
Looks cool. So if you're into that type of game, probably will be good. Um, and yeah, as Ghost mentioned in the chat, Silk Song clown emoji.
lol.
Every time there's a game presentation, all the copium for Hollow Knight Silk Song, and when it doesn't show up, the copium just goes to max. Yeah, Silk Song 2034.
2034. Let's go. But yeah, I don't know. Like there was a lot in here. I just knew a couple of games in here that I know are popular. I haven't played,
Yeah.
but I know there's some popular
Yeah, I
ones.
didn't get a sense whether like people liked this presentation, like people who are into indies, if they thought this was a good presentation or not. I don't really know the
Yeah,
answer to that. I know people were upset that Silk Song wasn't there. Either they were actually upset or they were memeing about Silk Song because it's a meme.
yeah.
Um, but this seemed, I mean, to me, outside looking in, seemed decent. There was a good number of announcements. There was decent variety as well,
Yeah,
and yeah, so seemed fine to me.
agreed. Like I said, don't have much to complain about. Okay. Next, should we talk about Age of Wonders for a bit?
Sure.
Wait, how do I zoom in here?
Control Plus.
Okay. So, Age of Wonders is coming out soon. In fact, it's coming out in less than 2 weeks. And
Yep.
here's a tweet regarding some of the trusted influencers that will be playing this game today on various live streams. As you can see, the list is here. Let's zoom that in a bit. And you can see the timings and where they're going to be streaming on. Looks like Twitch and YouTube. I don't even know what this is down here. I don't know what
I mean, yeah,
platform
I
this
assume
is.
I assume that's something. That's the Chinese
Yeah,
flag, so I
I
assume
think it's
assume the
Chinese.
ones with the flags mean that they're going to be in that like country's
Yeah.
language. So you have Spanish, you have a couple of German, French. What
Oh shoot.
I
I
I don't
feel
know what flag that is. Is that
Serbia?
the antic? I don't know that flag. Um, and then
No, not this.
Chinese is the last one. So
Oh god. No, that's not it. Is it Crow? It's very tough. I've seen that flag before. I just can't place it.
it's Netherlands.
It's Netherlands. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
that
color
was my
scheme is
that was
used on like
or
multiple.
wait, maybe it's not.
Netherlands? No, maybe it's not.
Red, blue, white. Nope. Netherlands is red, white, blue
Right.
with red at the top. Yeah, I don't know what flag. There's a bunch of flags that use that like red, white, and blue in like different orders and horizontal or vertical, and yeah, I just do not know which country's flag that is.
Huh? I don't know. Well, anyway, regardless, Russia.
Oh, Russia.
Russia. Okay. So we have a lot of different live streamers going to be playing this game today. Some of which have already started based on the timings that I'm seeing here. Or at least one has. So yeah, I'm guessing this is the only day we're gonna get this opportunity to watch these influencers play this game on these live streams. Kind of a one-time little event.
I was watching the one for Quill 18, who's the one at the, or maybe it's Quill 19, I don't remember. The one at the top this morning. It started at 9 a.m. here. And he was saying that I think there's going to be another set next weekend on Saturday again. He was also saying for this weekend they're only allowed to play they have to play minimum 2 hours as part of the sponsored stream, and they can't go past about turn 30, so they can only really show the early game today.
So they 2 hours can't go past turn 30. Okay. Got it.
But apparently, I think next Saturday is when I think there's gonna be another set of streams, and I think he said the YouTube embargo, for more curated video content, like Let's Plays and stuff, is next Saturday as well. So
Okay.
more content next week.
Yeah, makes sense. So
the other thing, sorry,
no,
the other
you
thing I
go.
wanted to touch on with Age of Wonders this week real quick is what they said is going to be their last live stream, as in the developers' last live stream. They've done a bunch, and this one was covering sieges. They had a dev diary covering sieges this week as well. It's kind of the last, I guess, big component of the game that we haven't seen, other than, as you mentioned before, like end game. We haven't really seen much really end game gameplay, but sieges, it seems like an interesting system. It makes sense. Basically, in order to siege a city, you need an army with a hero in it. You can't siege a city without a hero in your army.
Sure.
And basically, cities have a fortification health, basically, that you can improve with city improvements, like you can walls and whatnot.
Sure.
Like you can in other 4X games. And when you siege a city, basically your army does a set amount of siege damage. By default, it's 10.
Okay.
10 per turn. And so basically you have to sit there and wait for their fortification health to tick down until you can actually assault the city, and then you do a battle
Okay.
after that.
Okay.
but there are siege projects that you can, when you start the siege, you can choose to activate siege projects that can either increase the amount of siege damage you're doing, so it'll speed it up, um, or do certain things to like mess with their defenses or do damage to the enemy soldiers before the battle, or etc., etc. And there's like 4 siege projects you start with by default that you can do, and you start with 2 slots, so you can do two siege projects in a
Yep.
siege. But as you progress further in the game, you can unlock more siege projects in tomes, and it seems like you unlock more slots, so you can do more siege projects during a siege. And the projects, for the most part, I think there was one of them I saw that didn't cost anything, but they will either cost some gold, some mana, or both. So they're not free. They're not
Yep.
free to activate. So if you want to build like they had one that was building like catapults basically, and that costs like 250 gold, which is not an insignificant amount early in the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so early game sieging is going to be more challenging just because there is an economic barrier or magic barrier to getting to do it effectively. Which I mean kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense. Like sieging turn like 3, like your early game culture is your early game culture. So yeah, it would make more sense if it was like, no, you shouldn't be necessarily like able to go to war just like right off the bat and siege somebody and just take them over right away. Just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
So yeah, it seems like a decent siege system. You can't, humankind, like, you can siege cities in that game, but like most of the time you can just attack into the, like, you don't have to wait for like to break down the walls. Like, you can do siege projects in that game, but most of the time it's just more efficient to just attack the city. You don't really need the catapults and stuff, so you just attack the city and it's fine.
I mean there has to be some reason why you'd probably just want the catapults and other stuff, as opposed to just trying to break down the walls without it. But yeah, I mean early in the game you can't risk it anyway. You don't have the money, or you can't risk the money. So I mean it's a trade-off.
And the other thing is for the defender, the city that is being sieged, I think they said loses, like, it gets all its resources cut in half.
Oh,
So
okay.
like all the resources it's producing gets cut in half. And I'm pretty sure you can't build buildings. You can build units in the city, but you can't build buildings in the city that is being sieged.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
So there is a incentive for the defender to like bring an army from somewhere else, or I'm pretty sure you have an option if you have an army in the city, you can like sally out and attack the sieging the army that's sieging you instead of waiting for them to like actually engage the city.
Right, so you want to push them back.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
So seems like a pretty decent siege system. I like there's some I don't know if depth's the right word, but there's some choices to be made on both sides of the equation. So that's good. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited for this game. Actually, I haven't set up the pre-order quite yet, but I still am planning on doing it. And I do plan on playing it. So this is one of the pieces I wanted to talk about. So next week, you said you were moving, right?
No, probably no, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? So you're moving in 2 weeks. Yeah. So that is when this game releases.
Yeah, that week. It releases
that weekend.
That week. Well, it releases on Tuesday of that week, so May 2nd.
It's that week. Point is, it's that week.
It is that week.
That's the point. So if we're not going to podcast that week, I know you're moving. Would you have the opportunity though to play that week?
I would hope so.
Yeah, because we can instead just play that week, and one of us can try and live stream it. I can see if I can try. I don't know. My computer lately, particularly with new games, it has a harder and harder time streaming those. But
I know my computer can run it, but man, I tried to stream Advance Wars the other day when I got it.
Yeah.
And Spectrum, like anytime I try to stream, Spectrum
bombards you.
I stream for a bit and then like I'll just yeah, I got disconnected, and then like my internet didn't die, but like my normal internet connection, which is the Ethernet, like it just went down, and I had to like reset. I don't know, I had to reset, and I
Okay.
just stopped streaming. So like I can try to stream, but like if it dies after like 30 minutes to an hour, that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I can try too. So we can do is that week when it comes out, maybe we don't necessarily do a podcast, but I can try streaming it for sure. And we can see how that goes with me. But just my only problem is I just have to like turn down the graphics probably.
yeah,
It'll probably be like low graphic quality or something like that. And might be a small amount of lag depending on how much uh what the what the fidelity is of the game compared to what my computer can handle. And but I was gonna recommend that week instead of doing a normal podcast, we could just like play the game for a few hours on stream, talk about it, all that. I mean
yep,
that's an option. So
yep, that is an option indeed.
so for 2 weeks from now for that's podcast, that may end up being more of like we did this a long time ago, but play a game on the stream, talk about it. That's like our podcast instead. So
Yep,
could still be
that's
a fun opportunity.
it's an option for sure.
So anyway, I don't have much else to say about Age of Wonders 4, frankly, that hasn't already been discussed before. I'm glad they're talking about the rest of the stuff. Like they had a bunch of those videos that were like 5 or 6 minutes long. I'm glad they kept pushing those out, talking about the various parts of the game in like short form detail, just like, okay, here's this part of the game, here's this part of the game. Talking about sieges. Again, I don't think we're going to get anything regarding endgame, and based on the fact that they're telling live streamers don't play past turn 40, I don't think we're going to see that until the game actually releases.
Maybe next Saturday,
Maybe.
maybe you'll have full access on
Maybe, yeah.
the streamers will have full access on that day, but that's like 3 days before the game comes out. So yeah,
It's yeah, it's not a lot, but yeah, I'm a little surprised they haven't even gone through any end game detail whatsoever. I'm a little bit surprised, but I don't really have much else to say about the game. The game looks very interesting, so
yeah, it looks good, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously the content creators on this are all sponsored, and we're given early access and stuff like
yeah,
that. But I mean, seems like at least the a bunch of content creators, like the strategy content creators on YouTube, are like checking it out and are interested.
yeah, of
So
course. I mean, of course,
we'll see. It seems to be getting decent coverage on like YouTube and stuff so far. So
yeah, that's good.
hopefully that bodes well for their sales and such. I'm sure the Paradox arm is helping quite a bit.
It is. It definitely
Because
is.
like they had Paradox for Planetfall, which was the last game they released, but I'm pretty sure they partnered like right close to where Planetfall was releasing, so I don't think they got the marketing push for that game that
Right.
that this one is getting.
Yeah, this one's
So
got a bit of exposure to it, and it's going through the Forex, the strategy community, quite a bit. So
yeah,
so Paradox is definitely promoting this, obviously.
yeah,
But yeah, anyway, like I said, don't have really anything else to say.
sounds good.
Okay.